No matter what kind of project you have around the shop, if you're looking for some tips and some help, it's time for Sam's Garage, presented by ARP with Master Mechanic Sam Memmolo.
Hey, welcome to Sam's Garage. What we got a show for you today, got a buddy brought me this truck. It's a 2011 Silverado. It's a four-wheel drive. He bought this truck new. It's got about 60,000 miles on it. It's pushing 6 years old. He brings it to me and he says, you know, I wanted to dress up my truck, so I bought some big tires and wheels. And his idea of maintenance is he takes it to the Chevy dealer and gets an oil change. Well, there's a lot more to it, especially on these four-wheel drives. These front differentials don't have a lot of gear oil in them. You want to service those. I saw those big wheels and tires. They're heavy. It's going to change the unsprung weight. So I said, we're going to put front and rear sway bars on this thing. We're going to check your brakes. And we're going to service this truck, and then we'll take a look under the hood, air cleaners, battery, that kind of stuff. But I got a lot of work to do on it, so I brought my buddy Sam Mahdavi in again. I got this wheel off. These tires aren't bad, really.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
Looks very good, but the new ones are going to really dress up this truck a lot.
Absolutely. Here, you want to take that wheel off the other side?
Thank you.
Thanks. The first thing I'm going to do is look at the front brakes. And of course, the rotors here actually look pretty good for 60,000 miles. I'm going to clean those down with some brake clean. What we'll do is, the pads look pretty good. We'll go ahead and we'll take the caliper off. We'll make sure everything's free, lubricate the slides, get these front brakes good and wash them down, like I said, with brake clean. And those will be done. It doesn't look like you need pads, but let's pull this caliper off. Okay, you take the bolts out of the caliper. Sometimes you'll need to move the caliper back and forth a little bit because it's a floating caliper. You get the pistons back a little bit. And the pads look pretty good, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to service this brake setup here, wash it down with some brake clean, and then of course, you don't want your caliper to hang around because it's real heavy. And if you hang it on the brake hose, then the brake hose will be damaged inside. You won't know it till you start getting pulling. So what I like to do is take a tie wrap, get a couple of them, put it together. They're good and strong, and I'll tell you what, I've had better luck with these tie wraps than I have using a coat hanger or anything else. We got our caliper supported so it's not hanging by the brake line. We'll peel his pads out. Now this guy lives in an area where they have salt on the road in the wintertime, so things get a little sticky. We can pull his pad out, there we go. But if you look at these brake pads, there's almost no wear on them. So he drives like an old lady. I don't know why he wants big tires. Anyway, there's a lot of places here where the pads contact these brake hardware clips, anti-rattle clips. We want to make sure that we put some brake lube on that and the caliper slides on these pins that are in these little booties. You see, that moves nice and freely. This one's stuck, which is common. You find the bottom one stuck from road salt. There we go, broke it loose. Don't tear the little boot or you're gonna have to go buy a new one. We'll go ahead and lube those up. I'll wash this down with brake clean. We'll lubricate all the contact points and on the pads with some high temp. And again, this is special brake grease. It's not the wheel bearing grease that you normally use. We'll get that all set up. Sam will do the same thing on the other side. And what do you say, Sam? While we're up front, we'll put that sway bar on and service the differential.
Sounds good to me. All right, you got your side over there?
Yep, got it right here,
I'm about
buddy.
to take out the last bowl. I hope you ate your Wheaties.
Don't hurt me.
I won't.
All right, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got the stock sway bar off. And you know, we're gonna replace this. This bar is pretty light. I'm gonna put a Hellwig bar. Now, Hellwig's been making suspension forever. This is a really rugged bar. This is 1 1/8 chrome moly. Got a nice powder coat finish on it. We'll put this up in place, and we'll show you about the links when we get back from the break. This is really gonna tighten up the front of this truck and make it handle well, especially with the big, heavy tires and wheels. But we do need to take a break. We've got a lot more coming here at Sam's Garage, so stick around. You ready for this, big guy?
Yes, sir. Go ahead and hand it over.
You know, here at Sam's Garage, we choose the Easy Run engine test stand to run all our engines before we put them in a vehicle. It's fully complete, it's all made out of steel, powder coated, made in America, by the way. Has a full dashboard with a tachometer and all the gauges, radiator, fuel tank, battery box, all kinds of accessories. Super universal, imported domestic, engines bolt on it really easily, rolls around the shop well. It's a high quality product, Easy Run engine test stand.
Winners rely on ARP.
Hey, this is Fast Jack Beckman, and when you're driving a 10,000 horsepower nitromethane car, you can't afford to take chances. That's why Don Schumacher Racing uses nothing but ARP products.
When we use nothing but the best that keeps us right and tight, that's ARP.
You can have zero failure with your engine, and that's why we depend on ARP fasteners. I always have all my career, all my championships. I rely on ARP for one reason: they are the best.
Sam's Garage, presented by ARP, is brought to you by LMC Truck. Restore, maintain, customize. Parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks and SUVs. The Hedman Performance Group. Hedman Headers. Transdapt and Hamburgers Performance. Quality automotive products since 1954. ARP. Proudly made in the USA. The world leader in fastener technology.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage. You know, this Hellwig sway bar is really beefy bar, but what's real important is the link that hooks it to the lower control arm. Here, this is the factory link. It's got hard bushings, they're really cheaply made, and a plastic sleeve. Hellwig's got a nice steel sleeve, heavy bolt through it, and of course what you've got is polyurethane bushings. Now, in the polyurethane bushings that are in the U-brackets that hold that bar up, and that's where it swivels. Make sure you put the lube that's supplied in there so it doesn't squeak. So go ahead and put that on. Sam's gonna put the sway bar links on, then he's gonna take that skid plate down, pull the bolt out of the front differential. Remember, it only holds about 8/10 of a quart. And we're gonna put the special lube that goes in it, which is a synthetic gear oil. While he's wrapping that up, I'm gonna go ahead and start on the rear brakes. Got that under control there, buddy?
Yes, sir. I think
All
so.
right. All right, getting these rear drums off, sometimes the drums are rusted and stuck on the flange. These late models, they've got threaded holes. Take a couple of metric bolts, put them in there, get your ratchet, and of course, that'll push up against the flange of the axle, get the drum freed up. This is actually pretty not bad at all. We'll pull the drum off. Oh, look at that. Look at all that dust. That's not just dust, that's brake shoes. The brake shoes are worn down. Rear brakes in this truck are in bad shape. And it looks like here, I'm seeing a lot of moisture. You pull this, so this is a dust boot, shouldn't be wet. I pull this back, I'm seeing moisture in there. It looks like this wheel cylinder's leaking a little bit.
This side is definitely leaking, Sam. You can totally see the seepage coming out from around the cylinder.
Okay, so what we're gonna need to do, not much you can do for these, you don't rebuild them anymore. We'll go to the parts house, we'll get a set of rear shoes, and these are bonded shoes, by the way, no rivets. We'll get a set of wheel cylinders, we'll break into the system, change the wheel cylinder, put some new shoes on it, wash everything up, we'll be in great shape. You got, have you checked these, Sam? It looks like they're like 8mm back here.
Yeah, they are 8mm.
Okay, we've got the backing plate all washed down with brake clean. And of course, we're putting some high temp brake grease on. You don't need a lot, you don't want it to run. And it's going on these pads, the raised portions on the backing plate. Again, plenty of brake clean, get it good and clean. If you look at the brake shoe, it's got these little metal tabs and they're on both sides. The shoe, put this on right,
Yeah.
the shoe goes up here and it's gonna ride against those tabs and it's gonna be working metal to metal. You wanna make sure it doesn't squeak, it glides nice and free. And again, it's not just white lube, it's a brake grease, it's a synthetic. And you can see the difference between the factory shoe and the shoes we're putting on. The factory gives you just the minimum. They're pretty well gone, there's nothing left of them. So Sam's already got this particular shoe on. This is the trailing shoe, this is your leading shoe. The park and brake assembly is on that. Okay, buddy.
All right, let me
It's
go
all
ahead and
yours.
make it. Thank you.
And you're going to want to invest in a couple tools, like brake spring pliers. This is a little deal that you take these, and this goes in and compresses it, and that puts it on the pin that comes through the backing plate. You know, a few tools at $100 an hour labor in a shop. If you learn to do something like this, you can rent some tools, buy a few tools. They're not real expensive. Oop, did I throw that away?
That's okay, all good.
And you can save yourself some money. While you finish that up, buddy, I'm going to go ahead and put that other link on the sway bar. Heard that?
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, as you can see, we are completely reassembled. We've got all of our springs back into place. We're ready to put our drum back on. Don't forget to completely clean out your drum on the inside, and don't forget to adjust your wheel in, because you've just put on new shoes and they're going to be thicker. So then you can put on your drum. On the back side there is a plug. You can remove the plug. There's an adjustment wheel. You can get to it. You want to adjust it just enough to get the shoes to contact the drum, and then the self-adjustment will take over from there. What do you think, Sam? Did I do a good job? At least my side may stop.
All right, well, truck looks really good. These are Dick's Cepek wheels and tires by Mickey Thompson. And you know, you see these on Jeeps, raised trucks. It's a real popular wheel and tire combination. That's what this guy chose. They look real good. And they're going to be fairly quiet for the size of the tires. There's the factory tire. Tires are junk, but the wheels are pretty good. He's got some to the eBay. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead. We've got the truck sitting on the suspension now. We can go ahead and go to our Hellwig sway bars and finish tightening up everything. That way the bushings are in the position they're going to be when the truck's sitting on the road, and they won't be in a bind. Also got to bleed out the rear brakes. We lost a little bit of fluid, not much. A couple of shots in the pedal. Once the air is gone, we top up the fluid. This will be all set. We need to take a break. We come back, we're going to check out his battery, take a look under the hood, so stick around. You know, here at Sam's Garage, we choose the Easy Run engine test stand to run all our engines before we put them in a vehicle. It's fully complete, it's all made out of steel, powder coated, made in America, by the way. Has a full dashboard with a tachometer and all the gauges, radiator, fuel tank, battery box, all kinds of accessories. Super universal, imported domestic, engines bolt on it really easily, rolls around the shop well. It's a high quality product, Easy Run engine test stand.
Winners rely on ARP.
Hey, this is Fast Jack Beckman, and when you're driving a 10,000 horsepower nitromethane car, you can't afford to take chances. That's why Don Schumacher Racing uses nothing but ARP products.
And we use nothing but the best that keeps us right and tight. That's ARP.
You can have zero failure with your engine, and that's why we depend on ARP fasteners. I always have all my career, all my championships. I rely on ARP for one reason: they are the best.
Nice job with all this stuff, bud.
Thank you.
All right, we've got the truck down, we've got the wheels tight. Remember, they're alloy wheels. Use a torque wrench, use the crisscross pattern. These things here talked about 90, 95 foot-pounds. You want to do that, don't use an impact gun, because you know that'll do.
You can really ruin a good brake job by using an impact gun.
Absolutely, and you can hurt the wheels too. So with that, we also, with the weight of the truck on the suspension, we tightened up all of the sway bar bushings, and then we bled the brakes. Make sure you top up your brake fluid. This guy's been complaining about a intermittent no start. And again, this is the original battery in the truck, and it's small. It's 615 cold cranking amps. That's a tiny battery. What we have here is a conductance tester. This is what they use now. You see this in all your parts stores and so on. Simple to use. You select the vehicle, you tell it how many cold cranking amps this is going to be, 615. Push the button. It may ask you to put lights on. You never know what these testers are going to tell you, but it's testing it. And this battery is down 11.7 volts and only 430 cold cranking amps. Battery's weak.
Man, that thing is so simple to use, even you can use it.
That's why they invented it for me. You're going to pay for that, big boy. So we're going to put a battery in this thing, which is good. We're going to put a nice Optima AGM or absorbed glass mat battery. But no fun. You got some bolts here. We're going to take off these brackets, and then of course your retainer, the battery retainer. And I'm going to go ahead and take this guy's air filter off. What do you think?
For sure, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. And remember, these new batteries have a Europeans designed 10mm top post, whereas the older ones you're used to have an 8mm side post. So You got to be more careful. The cables have a lot more electronic connectors to them because the car is filled with so many more electronics these days.
This guy's got a cold air intake system, and his air filter is dirty. This affects your performance and fuel economy and so on. A little bit of a job to get it out of here. This is an air raid system. It's pretty dirty. Now, normally what you do with these, you spray them with their little cleaner kit. You go from the clean side out to the dirty side. You flush it with water. Then it's going to take a few hours to dry. You want this cotton gauze to be really dry before you oil it again. So to make it easy so we can get these things in and out, we keep some extras around. We've got a brand new one we'll put in this truck. Then we'll save this for him, clean it and oil it. When he comes back next trip, which is probably 40 or 50,000 miles, we'll have that ready for him. And this is a great way to go, by the way, these filters, because they are reusable. Once you buy them, you don't have to buy more. And of course, when you throw paper filters away, they go in the landfill. That urethane around them is not good for the landfill. And this comes all oiled, ready to go. Now I'll try to put this back in here without damaging it. Get that battery out yet?
No, I'm waiting for you to get out of my way.
You making a career out of it?
Very funny. Give my 13 millimeter. And let's get off the retainer.
Okay, we've got our Optima AGM battery in there. By the way, these are great batteries. They come with some adapters. So for different groups, make sure you hold it down. Always put your hold down. Don't let it shake around. Well, these batteries are great. They don't leak, they don't gas, and they don't spill. All right, air cleaner's on. This thing's about ready to go. What do you think?
Yes, sir. Almost ready for a test drive.
You get that tight?
Almost. There we go.
All we're gonna do now is take it for a ride, make sure everything's good, no noises, squeaks, or bumps. Always do that before you give it back to the owner. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna be jumping on that forward motor, so don't go away. Cleanup time.
Okay, no problem. I'll take care of it.
You know, here at Sam's Garage, we choose the Easy Run engine test stand to run all our engines before we put them in a vehicle. It's fully complete, all made out of steel, powder coated, made in America, by the way. Has a full dashboard with a tachometer and all the gauges, radiator, fuel tank, battery box, all kinds of accessories. Super universal, imported domestic, engines bolt on it really easily, rolls around the shop well. It's a high quality product, Easy Run engine test stand.
Winners rely on ARP.
Hey, this is Fast Jack Beckman, and when you're driving a 10,000 horsepower nitromethane car, you can't afford to take chances. That's why Don Schumacher Racing uses nothing but ARP products.
When we use nothing but the best that keeps us right and tight, that's ARP.
You can have zero failure with your engine, and that's why we depend on ARP fasteners. I always have all my career, all my championships. I rely on ARP for one reason: they are the best.
Sam's Garage, presented by ARP, is brought to you by Advertising Edge, the official uniform of the NHRA. Mickey Thompson Tires. Be a part of the legend. The Hedman Performance Group. Hedman Headers. Transdapt and Hamburgers Performance. Quality automotive products since 1954. By ARP, proudly made in the USA, the world leader in fastener technology.
What we have here is a power rack and pinion steering kit from LMC Truck. This thing bolts in to where the original steering box and idler arm went. And this is designed for 67 to 72 Chevy and GM trucks. It's gonna have disc brakes, small block, short water pump. And this thing is really designed well. And of course, it's designed to have no bump steer. The kit comes complete with the rack, the brackets, tie rod ends, your hose kit, power steering pump, all your shafts, a remote, beautiful aluminum reservoir, everything you need. Now, if the truck originally didn't have power steering, you're gonna need a double row water pump pulley. LMC Truck's got it in polished and black. That's sold separately. This kit bolts right in, hooks up. Your truck's gonna have much better drivability. The road feel is gonna be better, more comfortable. It's a great way to go. Get rid of that old steering box and idler arm that shakes all over the place. Bolt in a rack and pinion setup. And of course, this bolts right into the chassis. in the original holes for the idler arm and the steering box. You don't have to do any drilling. An LMC truck's got everything you need for your truck, from 47 to present, the GM and Chevrolet, 47 to present Ford, and not only trucks, but SUVs also, and from 72 on for your Dodge trucks and SUVs. So if you're looking to upgrade your truck, make it drive better, handle better going down the road, check out LMC Trucks website. They got everything you need for your trucks and your SUVs. Welcome back to Sam's Garage. We're continuing along with our 5-liter Ford project. Now all the pistons are in with the new rings, the rod bearings, everything's torqued, and rods and mains, and we're in really pretty good shape. Again, what you want to do when you're doing an engine is work in a clean area, keep everything clean. Getting ready to put in our camshaft. Just got my cam, and it's a really nice little cam. This has 220-degree duration, and this is going to have valve lift of 498 on the intake and exhaust with a 1.6 ratio rocker arm. Now, get your cam card. Keep your cam card. When I get them, I make a couple of photocopies and put at least one in the file, because you don't want to lose your cam card. When you're putting your cam in, got a little assembly lube on the lobes. That's where you want that. Now this is a hydraulic roller cam. It's not as critical as a flat tappet, but a little bit of assembly lube on the rollers, on where the lobes contact the rollers. And all you use on the journals is a little bit of clean motor oil. Don't put your assembly lube on the journals. Now the biggest trick is to put it in without nicking the cam bearings. They're a little tricky. These are brand new cam bearings and they fit pretty tight. I just took a long 3/8 bolt, stuck it in the front of the cam here to give myself a little leverage. Remember, back of the cam's trying to fall down and you're trying to hold it up. And just thread it through, just be gentle. The edges of these lobes are sharp as razors. I've already cut myself, okay? You'll know when you get in there. When this journal starts to get close to this bearing, you gotta get the back one in. There we go. There we go. That back bearing's a little bit tight, but that's fine. You don't want a lot of clearance in your cam bearings. If you get clearance in your cam bearing, you can lose oil, too much clearance, you can lose oil pressure. Now some of these cams will come with the dowels, some won't. And all we're gonna do is line up the timing marks. Number 1 piston's at top dead center. There's top dead on the crank sprocket. There's the corresponding marks for this tooth. It's gonna be between those teeth. I'm gonna put the cam back in a little bit further. I don't wanna put that sprocket on yet. As long as the cam's in, you can tap it a little bit. You're not gonna hurt anything. And this Ford uses a thrust plate on the front of the cam, so we'll need to put that on next. What I like to do when I put those on, I like to put a little bit of thread locker on the bolts. Okay, by the way, when you put this cam thrust plate on here, on the back of it, it says back, which means it goes against the block. And of course, it says bottom, because there's a place there where the oil passage is. So, again, we'll take this and we'll kind of get our marks lined up a little bit. We should be in pretty good shape right there. What I'll do is now I'll take my timing chain, I'll thread the whole thing on, and that'll take care of that. Now you can degree it in. I've done a lot of these engines. For a street motor, unless you're advancing or retarding your cam for a specific purpose, you can save some money by not taking a degree wheel or paying someone to do it. If you line them up right, they'll be in pretty good shape. Okay, you can see we're lined up right there. Chain's nice and tight. Of course, I've got a special bolt that goes in here to hold that on. I'll put that on, I'll torque it, and we'll be in pretty good shape. Now I can start, we'll be ready to put on our oil pump, check the fit, make sure it doesn't collide with the oil pan, make sure the pickup is in the right place in the sump. We'll put on some seals, some gaskets, a front cover, a water pump. We have the bottom of this block pretty much bolted up. We'll be waiting for the heads. All right, that's all I want to do today. I'll go ahead and work on this. Hope you learned something, had a good time here at Sam's Garage. I know I did. I'll see you next week.